lot of joy and pride in that. So anyway, it was very, very cool to see. All right. So anyone want to do a shout out, either your own stuff, what you're excited about, or someone else either on the task force or not on the task force? Anything cool that you've seen that's happening?
I have one. Today is Rose's 30-day anniversary with Healing City, Baltimore. She survived her first 30 days, and we are so proud of her. She's done an amazing job. So congrats, Rose. You're not new anymore.
Thank you, y'all.
That's great. Anybody else? Okay. With that, I am going to turn it over to Ro, I think, to share our question of the day, and to put us in our little groups.
So our question of the day, everyone, is describe an experience that has changed your value system. So I'm going to break everyone out. See you all in about 5 minutes. Hey, Monica. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Ms. Brockington, should I just hang out right here until everybody comes back to the
Yes.
breakout room?
Yes, yes, yes. You're with me. I can send you to another if you don't want to hang out with me. Did you hear the question of the day? Hi. Hi, how are you?
Sorry, I just logged on, so I don't know what's happening.
It's okay. We're on there around the horn. The question of the day is describe an experience that changed your value system. So you're in the room with Mark and I. So I can go. I would say one experience that changed my value system is working in the school system. I had a family who would come to school late very often. Didn't really know why. I felt like mine was, just on 83% of the time, all that kind of stuff. You're just like, oh, come on, feeling a way about it. And then one day she decided to open up and she told me her story. And it was remarkable that the amount of courage that this young mom had, given that she's one of those folks that you would, or folks would look at and say, well, why are you this way? Why you're making these choices, all of these kinds of things. But when she told me her story, it kind of just a light bulb went off for me and my understanding of the community that I was serving and the things that I wanted to do and the way that I wanted to impact that school community. Happy to say that family is still thriving. She's still making those same kind of crazy sacrifices for her kids, and they are doing well. So being pretty much checked by my community on thoughts about how they may how they're perceived was a big one for me. All right, those are just joining us. Our question of the day is, describe an experience that changed your value system. Anybody want to go next? And we have about
can you
4
repeat the
minutes.
question?
Sure, it's describe an experience that changed your value system.
Okay, I can go next.
All right.
I'm sorry, my camera's not on. I'm currently driving. But a situation or an experience that changed my value system. Pretty much like the work I do now, like kind of like in the community. It's several experiences just knowing like the different needs of people. So like a crisis to you might be different from like a crisis versus someone else. So just taking more of people's needs and like the assessment of people more serious without like kind of like not judging them in a sense, but not taking their needs as serious in a way as I think, if that makes sense.
It does. Anyone else want to share? We have about 3 minutes or so. And I'll repeat the question one more time. It's describe an experience that changed your value system. No one else wants to share, that's fine. We will hang out here for a few more moments until those so our small groups are over. We have about 2 minutes left.
Is anybody excited that tomorrow is Friday and it's kind of like a 4-day weekend like me?
Yes.
I'm with you, Ryan. I'm excited about all the good stuff that's happening this weekend. Can't wait for AFRAM and all the goodness that'll be in the city this weekend. Such an exciting
This
one.
weekend?
Yes, AFRAM.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm definitely outside. I definitely gotta go to AFRAM. Thank you for
You said
relaying that
AFRAM is this
information.
weekend.
Yes,
Yep.
AFRAM is this weekend.
What?
Yep,
That's what
Oh,
I'm
my.
saying. That's what I'm saying. I gotta be outside now.
you gotta be outside.
Oh,
I gotta be outside.
Juneteenth
for
and
AFRAM,
AFRAM all
man.
wrapped up in one. It's gonna be some
Yeah.
good food. It's Drew Hill Park again, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I bet.
All right, y'all. Folks will start coming back in about a minute. And it's set to be a picture perfect weekend as well.
So the weather's gonna be great.
It's
like
going
all
to be
week.
great.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to hear. I find a nice little pool.
Yeah.
Something for AFRAM.
No worries, Adrian. Everything is all good. We're coming back from out of our around the horn topic of the day. So you didn't miss a lot.
All right. Well, welcome back. So before we keep it moving, because Noelle and I just had like a really great little breakout room, and I learned a bunch about her, and we have like a weirdly similar background in education, and that was really joyful. Anyone want to share their experience that helped transform them and transform their values? Anyone want to shout out either yours or your compatriots, your partners?
I just got here, but I like, I guess I feel like, I feel like me and Ro are like pretty friendly, pretty kind, and just like we click that way. So I'm sorry I just got here, but just that's just my take. So yeah.
All
Thank
good.
you, Angela. Angela's interning with us for the semester. We're so excited to have her.
Awesome. Thanks, Angela. Anybody else want to shout out your transformative moment?
We had some pretty heavy ones, so I'm hesitant to, put anyone on blast. But I can share some of the themes. We talked about how loss of our youth in the city to gun violence and things like that have shifted some of us in how we approach this work. Because we see them as people and, not just how the news portrayed them. Someone in our team shared, something very close with having recently lost a youth that they have mentored. And our hearts go out to all of us here that have lost youth along the way in this work. But we are thankful for the experiences that have shaped and improved the way we approach this work and keeping humanity centered in the conversation. So just sending love to everyone that has experienced that and have grown from it.
That's beautiful.
Zeke,
Well, go ahead,
sorry.
Desiree. I'm sorry.
I won't share like specifically what Monica and I talked about, but what I took away from it was just the reminder of why I moved to Baltimore, 20 years ago, that we share a level of community that I don't see often in other communities, because I've been doing a lot of work recently, just based on my dissertation with clinicians in other communities. And man, just to be here, I was just telling Frida in the chat, like just being here, it's just such a different feeling. The kind of engagement that we have and just how it feels to be, the warmth to be a part of this community and the work, that is just very different. So I guess the bigger takeaway is the experience of living elsewhere and moving to Baltimore and recognizing like it most fits with like who I am as a person. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I'll just say, unless anyone else wants to go, big shout out to Noelle, who was a Baltimore City public schools teacher, taught at the Great Northwestern High School, and then was a principal in New Orleans in the 7th Ward, and did some education work in New York as well, and has come back to Baltimore and is working in the mayor's office of children and family success. And I wanted to bring MOCFS into the mix, into the Trauma-Informed Care Task Force, both because they historically have been just a huge part of our work. Director Tisha Edwards, who was the creator of the office, was the original co-chair, but also because I think that MOCFS is playing a really interesting role, especially this summer, in facilitating a lot of really positive experiences for young people. You know, we know that this year in particular has been really tough for children and families in Baltimore. We've seen a pretty significant spike in gun violence perpetrated by and against young people. And I think that one of the things with the Be More Invested and the work that MOCFS is doing that I think is really important is really trying to be on the prevention side. And I just feel like, you know, we as a city, we have to, you know, folks who commit violence need to be held accountable, and we need law enforcement to enforce the law. And that's important, but that's also reactive. And if we can prevent violence from occurring in the first place, if we can provide safe, nourishing places for our children to be during the summer and during the school year, I think that is also extremely important. And there's just been a big push this summer to try to create space and opportunities for our kids. And so I wanted to bring Noelle, who's going to represent MOCFS, to share a little bit about the work they've been doing, and just kind of, I think, give a little flavor of the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success, and particularly the Be More Invested work that you all have been doing for this summer. And so with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Noelle, and then I think we'll have some time for questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Councilman Cohen. I appreciate the introduction and things. We are working really hard at the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success. In under a year, we have just been trying to get under a lot of really important initiatives. And as Councilman Cohen, there's no need to sort of just rehash that it has been quite a tough school year as far as violence has been concerned, and just a tough year period with our youth, especially under the ages of 18, who have been involved in, acts of violence, especially as it pertains to like gun violence in particular. What in the right after spring break, like most people know, just to kind of couch the initiative, right after spring break, when we had 2 youth that were involved in gun violence right downtown at our Inner Harbor, right over the spring break time, we had sorry, I'm sorry, it's Afrin time and I'm at Rec and Parks. I'm taking care, it's a lot. Anyway, apologies. So we were charged by our city administrator as well as Mayor Scott to pretty much stand up programming for our youth, specifically our teens, over the summer. We worked together sort of in conjunction and in partnership with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement to sort of create the piece where we are looking at what to do to support and curfew, and what the mayor sort of wants is the enforcement side, but then there's an engagement side that goes to that. And for me, I was extremely passionate about making sure that we cannot continue to tell our youth what they cannot do and where they cannot go and what they won't do, and you shouldn't do that. Because at the end of the day, what we do know is that if you do not make sure that you are giving our youth productive spaces and places to be, that they're going to create those productive spaces and places, even if they're not so productive. And that's what happens when you have hundreds of youth descending upon downtown with sort of nothing to do, no agenda at all. And literally in their flyers that they send out, it says, we're just going to link up. And so I've been working on, them sort of not doing the linking up, because that leads to sort of non-productive things and actions. So on the engagement side is really where MOCFS, we play our part. And we started with the Memorial Day kickoff we had at Rashfield. That was on Sunday, the Sunday at Rashfield, May 26th. But over the summer, we are standing up a lot of work in partnership with Rec and Parks. So we're going to couch this in Rec and Parks is having extended hours at 10 recreation centers across the city until 10:30 p.m. On Fridays and Friday nights, every Friday, starting next Friday, there are team pool parties at multiple pools across the district. So we have across the city. So neighborhood pools, community pools, and then larger pools. There will be pool parties every Friday night starting June 23rd all the way to August the 5th. And those are specifically for teens. Next Saturday night, we are also starting our Saturday Night Live series, which is every second and fourth Saturday in front of City Hall. We are activating the entire City Hall footprint with 3-on-3 basketball, lawn games, food trucks, just everything. Concert. We're working with Downtown Locker Room. We have youth hosts and ambassadors, summer youth ambassadors, working with YouthWorks to have them. We're working with YouthWorks to have summer youth ambassadors. Really, really large social media presence to kind of get all our youth there. At our last event, Memorial Day weekend, we had about 300 youth that attended that event, and we're anticipating at upwards of like 500 to be at the remaining events as well. When we did this and we created what the youth wanted, what they wanted to see, even down to the location, over the course of about 3 weeks, I just did what I did best, which was get on the phone with school leaders and say, I need to come to your school and I need to talk to, middle and high school students. And I want them to co-author what this is that they want their summer to look like. The pool parties were a big hit. They really wanted to do that. Sweetheart, you're fine. They really wanted these. They said they wanted to have movie nights. They said they wanted, so literally everything. They tell me the influencers you want to have. Who do you want to see host? So this really was co-authored by them, if not really authored by them, and me just saying, no, we can't quite do that, but can we do this, and will that work? And I've been keeping track with them. I've even vetted some of the events with the same youth to just sort of continuing to get their feedback about what it is they want to see. Right now, I'm working on for my STEM babies and my babies that are like, look, I don't really like to party too much and do the music thing, but it would be nice if we could have some sort of like tech thing or like some gaming thing or anime thing. So I'm working on doing something that really just supports everybody and what it is that they want to do. It's not just one specific particular thing, but just really give them opportunity to kind of come out, express themselves in a safe environment, as we did on Memorial Day, and sort of keep that momentum going. So every Friday night, there's a pool party. Every second and fourth Saturday, there is Saturday Night Live in front of City Hall. And the rec centers are open all week for extended hours until 10:30 p.m. That starts June 27th for extended hours till 10:30 p.m. at those rec centers. And everyone's allowed to sign up and do that. We also have midnight basketball on Friday, starting at the end of the first week in July to August. Midnight basketball at the Dome and at Madison. So we're given as much as we can, as much as the human capital we have to give on the weekends for our youth to do those things. We know that during the week, a lot of them said they had to work. They're not really looking to do too much during the week. So we kind of followed, again, what their input was and what they wanted to do. So we're looking forward to really just engaging the youth, getting folks out there. We're always open to take volunteers at BeMoreChildren.com. We have a whole call to action for volunteers to support those events, and also for kids to sign up. And we have the summer hub as well. We know summer learning really is where it is. Then Pratt Libraries. So Baltimore City Public Schools is on there as a partner. Pratt Libraries is on there as a partner. So Rec and Parks, we have everything. We try to create one singular hub for everything. I'm going to drop that in the link, and we have a specific teen zone just for teens, where everything is where they want to be. We are hoping that by this time next summer, I'm not going to say hope. Next summer, we're going to have an app specifically for them. And that is a big goal of mine, to have an app activated for our youth to just download it and see where everything is, click it, and just make it really easy for them. And that's what we're working on. So it's going to be a busy summer all the way up to back to school. Our Mayor's Back to School Bash is August 19th. So there are events pretty much every weekend leading up to our back to school, which is August the 19th. So it's going to be a busy summer. This weekend, Kids Zone is activated by MOCFS, and we have this. I'm super excited about it because we wanted to be inclusive of our youth with disabilities in the city. So Port Discovery is our partner, and they have a whole sensory activation that they're doing in the entire Kids Zone just for our youth, our babies with disabilities, just with sensory activities, and a lot of just things for them. And I'm so excited because we've never done that, where we, able-bodied people sometimes just don't think about, the things that come with, our youth that have disabilities and families that have youth with disabilities. So for me, I was like, oh, we have to really make sure if I'm in charge, we're going to do something really nice. So Port Discovery has been absolutely amazing. And I'm still taking volunteers to help at Kids Zone on Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to help, you can email me and I will send you the volunteer information. We're going to be out there. I'll be out there at 5 a.m., but we will be out there until 8 p.m., 12 to 8 Saturday and Sunday. And for our youth with disabilities, we're inviting them for an exclusive hour, so it's a little bit calmer for them from 11 to 12 before the entire footprint opens. So we kind of start with the AFRAM, and we're moving our way down and we're just making it happen. It's a lot of events. And I have all the flyers, all the collateral. I will send you all everything you need in a beautiful file with every flyer and everything that you need and all the dates. So I got you. Any questions about anything?
I'll start. So I have two questions. One is, I'm trying to frame this the right way, but so I'm interested, maybe not for this summer, but in moving forward, I think there is a role for folks on this task force to play. I know that there's a lot of people who are in this consortium who come at this from really, really, really different spaces. And I think one of the tendencies that we have in Baltimore sometimes is to be in our silos. And I think like one of the challenges that we have is people are like, oh, youth violence is really bad. Like, blame it on the mayor. Like the mayor needs to come and solve it. And I actually think that is profoundly unhealthy for Baltimore, and too much emphasis gets put on one person and then one agency to solve it. I've been really impressed by some of the work that Julia Baez has been doing through the summer collaborative, which is a whole bunch of different groups working together.
Partner in crime, love her. Yeah.
Yeah, doing awesome. And this is not a knock in any way, shape, or form of the work that you guys are doing. I think it's incredible and amazing. But I guess I'm interested in both how the task force can be more of a partner moving forward, and also, I think thinking again about what are some of the other institutions that can play a role in this work. Because I'll just say this one anecdote. My office, we decided to do this thing, Field Trip Fridays, right? Because we found out that school was doing summer school 4 days a week. And something about that just didn't sit right in my soul, because I know that our kids need 5 days a week. And frankly, our parents, as a working parent, I need 5 days a week for my kids to not be home. And so we reached out to 12 cultural institutions, the BMA, Aquarium, and so on and so forth. And what was amazing, we asked them hey, look, could you do either free on Fridays or reduced price, or, enhanced cultural activities for kids? And what was incredible is that every single one of them said yes. None of them were free for the whole day Friday, because Fridays are their biggest day if you're the Port Discovery or the Aquarium. But they were yeah, we'll give 500 free tickets, or we'll make it free from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Every single one stepped up. And what was interesting about it to me was that at the end, and we haven't announced this, so this is hot off the press. Don't share it with the media yet. We're going to do a big kickoff next Thursday. I will invite you all to come join us. It's going to be at Port Discovery. But what I found really interesting was the amount of these groups that were hey, I just want to say thank you for even asking, because nobody asks us to do stuff, and we feel kind of culturally disconnected from the city. And so I think there's a little bit of a gap when it comes to our cultural institutions, sometimes our hospitals, our medical systems, and City Hall. And so I wonder, and again, not to put this on you, Noel, but I do wonder about leverage and how we can partner, just really proactively think about partnership with other organizations, so that it doesn't fall on, a city government that already has capacity constraints to just run around and do everything.
You're not wrong, and I don't disagree with you. I think that actually was one of the first things that when I came the end of August last year, I very much was just like, where's the intersectionality between like the city agencies, philanthropic groups and everything, and like the city, like I was getting under it. So like people like Julia Baez has been super helpful. Kalila over at Family League, like they've been helpful and like, tell me what you need, Noel, tell me what resources you need, tell me. So and even like I said, Port Discovery, we've become best friends because like we reached out to them because like they came to us and like I was like, hey, kids want to know about, what you guys have going on. So like, I think it really is a lot about, so if I can say this, and people I think know, because we can speak candidly, I think like when a lot of turnover happens in leadership, the relationship, once that relationship is gone, people feel like the work doesn't need to exist anymore, or like there's not an opportunity anymore. So if the next person comes in and they didn't, kind of reach across the aisle, or they might not be aware of that existing relationship. And it's unfortunate because, as Director Edwards moved on, and then there was like interim, and then it was like almost a year where no one was leading MOCFS. Right. So for me, as chief of policy and partnerships, I've literally been pulling at like, can I meet with you? Can we talk? I mean, the Maryland Center for Historical Culture, like they're my new best friends. Like people don't even know that it exists, and it's right across from Mount Vernon. Right. You know what I mean? Like they're my new. I got fans for them. I dropped them off at our Head Starts. So what I will say is that Noel, the person, people like Phil who connect me, I'm in a group chat, a special group chat with Phil and Sons of Meaning,
we all
and Rich, right, okay. So like they know I love collaboration. I do not like working in this. I think it is probably the worst way. It is the worst way to do business when it comes to doing what's best for youth, is to work in a silo, period. And I know that. And what I brought from New Orleans is the idea that, you have to reach out and you have to work together. So the working in silos thing is like different for me to come back. When I was like, I forgot how everybody like is like this, when in New Orleans, the Saints and the Pelicans and, everybody's at your door trying to do everything for the youth in the city. And yes, sure, post-natural disaster, but it's because they have like a sense of urgency when it comes to the youth, strong youth, strong cities. That's how, it is. So for me, if you all want to call, text, email me, trust me, I'm building my team better. I want to do that. Councilman Cohen, I couldn't agree with you more. And Phil knows when I have 2 seconds of time, I'm showing up and I'm in the text message and I'm saying, what can I do to help? If I can find the money, if I can find the people. So again, 10 months on the job, I'm getting there, y'all. So I am probably the most collaborative person. I know this is what I'm meant to do. I came back home to do this for the youth. So if there's any way that we can create a web of support, I will do anything with Healing Cities, working with you all. Even if, we have our meeting, we talk about what we can do for the youth. And I really need real strategy and priorities, because instead of things being thrown at the office, because as soon as I start trying to do strategy work, things start to pile up on top. And because it has to get done, it's going to get done, right? But after this kind of like summer thing, I want some real strategy work to happen. So I forgot to tell you guys, I am starting back up the Mayor's Youth Commission. That legislation is taken care of. I just revised all of that. So that's about to get jumped. That's what I need. So things like that are rooted and grounded. You know what I mean? Because it's been dormant since 2020. I had no idea. I'm like, unacceptable. So hello, flag on the play. Let's get this back going. So that is something I'm working on. So I'm working. Let me know what I'm here for, Councilman Cohen. I couldn't agree with you more. Please let me know what I can do to support and help anything, or how we can work collaboratively together. I'm down for it. I see Dr. Leaf has his hand up, and I see that I think there's another hand up. I guess I can't really see. I got to scroll my screen. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Phil. If anybody else has anything to say, but I agree with you, Councilman Cohen, a lot.
Yep. No. So first, I just want to thank you because you said some things, but you didn't sort of emphasize. You actually went out and met with a bunch of youth multiple times to try to make sure that you heard and understood what they wanted to do, but then you also engaged them so they could actually continue to do some of the work. It wasn't just, we're going to meet with you and then we'll come back next year. So I just really want to thank you for that. There are a couple of things that are actually on the agenda for today that you might, if you could make the youth committee, I mean, it's a part of this meeting, if you're around for another 20 minutes afterwards. At our last meeting, we talked about and thanks for picking up on the youth commission not being put in place, because that was one of the things we talked about. But all the city agents, so the youth commission is particularly focusing on city agencies or city funds. We want to facilitate so that they all have a youth advisory group. And as you said, there are some good ones here. I mean, there's some groups that actually have very much engaged youth, and there's other places that need some help getting them. And so we thought that the youth work group really wanted to facilitate that. It can be more broadly, but certainly as we're thinking about trauma, because everybody's experiencing trauma in the city, and so definitely youth are, but youth know what their solution should be. I mean, youth are the people that actually created this whole task force. I mean, not that Zeke might not have come up with it, but it was really a number of young people after a shooting incident in one of the high schools that said, we need to have something. And he facilitated actually having something come in place, but it was the young people that actually got us started. So one of the things that we're talking about a little bit later today is, which city departments or quasi-governmental, like the Family League doesn't have a youth committee. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, if we could create them, and then what we wanted to do is that some of the people for those would really be our youth committee. So we wouldn't create a new one, but we'd be taking youth who are working with those groups, as well as youth as resources in other places that are, Baltimore, the groups that already are doing some of this work. So as you said, having people combined around the question of trauma, there's lots of other things that's not our lane, but trauma is our lane, to try to facilitate doing those things. And then the other part that you mentioned, I think, is over the years, and particularly since COVID, a lot of the people that have resources or activities aren't being asked anymore because they lost their contacts. There have been turnover at the government, there's been turnover at the non-government. We want to, once we have, again, a good agenda, and I think the task force here has been developing a good agenda on training and other things, and the work that we've done with the library is a very positive example, but I think we can be doing that with other places. And as we're thinking, again, just from the youth committee, because that's one of the groups I've been working with here, because we also care about adults and other people. It's not that we only care about youth, but the youth committee is very much invested in trying to figure out how can we not, facilitate the youth coming together, support their efforts, and then help them do some of those things, linking in with the anchor institutions, which often have resources in the neighborhoods in which they function, which I think have really great connections with some of the adult organizations. But my personal experience is they don't necessarily have good connections with youth. Because again, that's not their, not that they don't serve youth, but that's not their primary service, and their points of contact are not the youth in their community. So I think our youth committee, which again, this is not what I came up, I'm just sort of communicating and trying to network some of the things that our youth and our people on the youth committee came up with. But that's one of the things that we want to be working with. And since I know personally as well as professionally, that's the group, one of the groups that you've been working with. If we can get your advice about how to best do these things, I think it'll be a win-win and really get collective impact, getting lots of positive things coming out of efforts that everybody wants to do.
Thank you. I am being called to the Children's Zone for a vendor situation, but I am here, and if Dr. Leaf, if I cannot stay on for the smaller portion, you and I, after Tuesday, I'll text you, and then we'll figure out a time so you can at least download with me, and I can update you on where we are with everything. But I would love to do that, to just kind of have youth voice at all tables as co-authors and not an afterthought. So I agree with you. So let's figure that out. I'm down for that.
Yeah, and again, positive. You've been very positive in responding to lots of the community programs and other things. We really appreciate. I mean, personally, and I express I think for other people in the city also really appreciate your efforts to be reaching out and to listen, not just to meet within the tone what to do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Delegate Boyce, you want to jump in?
No, I want to say kudos to Noelle. She used my favorite word. Collaboration, coordination, most importantly, not working in silos, which I think is our biggest issue in the city. Sometimes we are very resource rich, but we are certainly strategy poor. And I thank her for bringing her her willingness to be like, hey, like, you know, not only do I don't have to do this alone, there's somebody else that may do this a bit better than me and have some expertise to add to what I do. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. The other thing I want to say is, and it may be a touchy subject, but for me, I always believe that strong families make a strong city. And we talk about the youth often as if they don't have family. And I know in some cases they don't, but in most cases they do. And we really have to stop talking about youth in silos. I mean, we can talk about them, we can focus on them, we can give them what they need, but they still have to go to a home, to a family oftentimes that may have some issues at home. Substance use disorder, low income, poor housing, whatever it is, they still have to go home to that. And I really, think we can do a stronger job of not just getting youth out and get them to do this and get into that, but like, what are we doing as it relates to their family? How are they bringing their families into all this? Are there family nights, not just youth nights, but there are family pool nights? Are there other family events? Because I always say children are not feral cats. They belong to somebody. And most importantly, if they don't, they want to belong to somebody. And we need to really start nurturing our families, the family unit, whatever that looks like, because if children still have to go home to a home that may not feel as welcoming, as in whole, or traumatizing as when we just take them out for a minute, and give them a little love and give them a little fun, but they still have to go back to that. And that can be just as conflicting and traumatizing as trauma in and of itself. As somebody who grew up with mentors, you had that mentor in school, and we had that hard time when we moved from one county to the next and was housing insecure. I had these mentors, but it just really helps to incorporate family, not just the person, the family. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you so much, Delegate Boyce. That is received, and that is also a strategy that I've been trying to work on to bring back that sort of spirit. I will say, not to continue to reference New Orleans, but families were everywhere. The whole family went to the second line. The whole family goes on the park. The whole family is together. The aunties over here, mama's over there, the kids in all ages. 0 to 18, it was always respectful and everyone was engaged, and it was something for everyone for hours. I mean, like, it probably was my favorite time was second line, or be out there on Sunday like that, Super Sundays and second line. I mean, it was the absolute best. So I totally agree with you, Delegate Boyce, and I'm going to bother you when it is time for us to stand up, family Sundays or be more family days.
Please do.
And everybody
Please
else
do.
Because I believe that is what we very much are missing in this city. It is that we are all a part of it. You don't have to separate yourself from your mother, your aunt, your grandmother. Like, it's not multi-generational. Like, we don't have the opportunity to like bring them together in that sort of way. And we're missing stuff for seniors, but that's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that another time. I'm going to let you go ahead. Ms. Waheed. Hey girl. Hey,
good to see you. I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I just have really appreciated your leadership, as well as Dr. Brooks' leadership. I love Delegate Boyce's reiteration on like emphasizing the family structure, because when I think about your office, I really think about how youth-centered you've been, but I really just appreciate that holistic ecosystem and keeping the entire family in mind. So again, keep up the great work. You've done a great job in 10 months, and I can't wait to see what you're doing 10 months from now. And we look forward to partnering with you. I co-chair the policy subcommittee. So if there's ever any avenues for us to partner with you in that vein, definitely let us know. Thank you.
Oh, Ms. Waheed, look at us back together again. Look at this. That's lovely. I do have some stuff that I would love to connect with you about as it's been coming down the pipe. So I'm excited. Okay, good. So I'm just going to harass you. I have a list. Now I have a list of her. Look at this. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Thank you, Rashida. Look at this. I have a hit list of more people that I have arms. I have extensions. I'm making this web big. I'm Charlotte out here, y'all. we gonna get.
That is exactly the purpose of this task force. It is like amazing Baltimoreans from all these different fields, like the education space, the medical space, the political space, the non-government space, like we,
Not
you know,
even
just
that.
everybody coming together around this issue of preventing trauma. And that's why I really wanted to have you on here. And, you know, not to mention like you all, like I said, your predecessor, Director Edwards, really was the driving force in this work. And I would love to see that partnership with MOCFS reinvigorated. I will just briefly say before you jump, you know, I think, you know, Delegate Boyce point was extremely profound. And I will also say, I think that is another one of the things that Keisha was really intentional about when she created this office, was like, it wasn't just the mayor's office of kids or like youth, you know, it was the mayor's office of children and family success. And I think that family piece needs to be emphasized, because I think that's spot on. And we're not just like here to save the kids, save the children. Like, this is about how do we all mutually uplift. I also just appreciate your point about our elders and intergenerational relationships, of which we have, as folks know, a great deal in this city. I mean, so many grandmothers and grandfathers that are playing a very real role in supporting grandkids. And we are, by the way, myself and Sharon Green Middleton, working on creating the mayor's office, or not the mayor's office, the Baltimore office of aging, and making it its own standalone agency. We got $500,000 in this year's budget to hire a director and do a planning grant. And so we're working on that bill. And so there should definitely be partnership there with your office. Dr. Phil is like everybody's spirit animal when it comes to building those connections and not having the silos. And so I'm really glad you're already in relationship with him. But I think, you know, the overall point here that multiple folks have made, which I think just needs to be stated again and again and again, you know, and the delegate said this really well, is like, we have a ton of resources in Baltimore and we have a lot of caring people, but too often we let ourselves get stuck in these little silos, and for whatever reason, like our muscle around collaboration is often really weak in this city compared to other places in America. Like you mentioned New Orleans, and Detroit has, I think, really figured out some models around.
Detroit is outstanding. I just left Detroit. I went on a trip to see their strategy around, like I was there with them with Gilbert Family Foundation. I'm telling you, I'm going to do everything that needs to be done. I'm going to do it. I went there.
No, we believe it. You're the one.
I went there specifically to see how they lifted their work and what they're doing to revitalize Detroit, downtown Detroit, housing with family housing stability. Yes. Okay, but I'm sorry. But I'm let you know I'm on it.
No, 100%. I'm glad you went down there, because I think it's really interesting. And look, we don't have to go bankrupt or have a Hurricane Katrina for us to get to that point where we just figure out that like we're better together and that we need to be stronger as a community and working together. And I think for my money, for the first time I've been around in this kind of stuff, we now have like a governor as well who really sees that and sees Baltimore as an asset and sees the need for collaboration and transportation and all the rest. So I just feel like all the pieces are aligned. I'm super glad you're in this work. We will be in touch, and I do hope that you're able to come back and connect both with Fariha, Ms. Wahid and the policy group, and Dr. Phil and all the good folks from the youth group as well.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to go before somebody kills me about this tent. And I appreciate all of you. I'm really looking forward to this, and I will come back as often as I need to. Hopefully we can have something in person to eat food. I like to eat, y'all. So just let y'all know, if we all going to be collectively, we're going to have some food. I might find some jambalaya. I might make some, whatever it is y'all need. Just let me know. Pay a little request and I got y'all. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. In community, we will get this work done. And I don't take that, I don't say these things. I mean these things. So hold me accountable. That's all I got. Hold me accountable. I want that. So I need everyone to hold me accountable so we can get this work done, because it's bigger than us in this meeting. So I appreciate all of you. Text, call, email me. I'm here, y'all. We're going to get this done. I'm excited.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Noel.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you. All right. Fantastic. keeping it moving, wanted to give a quick update about the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Culture of Health Prize. I am super, super excited about just a beautiful opportunity for Baltimore, for Healing City, for this task force. And so I wanted to turn it to our executive director, Kimberly Legree, to share a little bit about that. Unless you are driving, and then I will be happy to deliver said update myself. Don't worry about Kim. I
You're
got
on
you.
mute, Kim.
This is trying to find the little thing.
Maybe someone can help unmute her, somebody who's hosting the meeting.
Hey Rashida, how are we with? Oh, there
There
you
we
go.
go.
You got
Thank
it.
you so much. I was driving. So just wonderful updates. We are so excited about the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation opportunity. Baltimore, as Zeke has shared, is one of 14 finalists out of literally 250 applicants, other cities and counties across the United States. Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is awarding a Culture of Health Prize to communities like ours, who has accomplished and seen success with the effort of supporting and addressing healing and trauma and health equity in their city. So this success belongs to all of us, right? So Baltimore, as a finalist, has shared with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation officials a work about the Elijah Cummings Healing City Act, the task force, the Healing City movement, as well as our peer navigators and all of the interconnectedness between our government agencies and community and all of you. And they are excited. They have responded, and the official site visit is going to be June the 28th. So we will keep you updated with more information. We are so grateful to our partners at Enoch Pratt, who will be hosting the site visit at the Central Library. So some of you may have received more information around joining our community conversation. We are just really, really excited. I mean, this is absolutely why we do this work. Now, while most of us do it because we don't necessarily need accolades, but it's really nice to see Baltimore recognized for something positive and something great. So just congratulations to everyone. We're super excited. You know, Zeke can share more. But our governor, Wes Moore, has certainly congratulated Councilman Cohen and the rest of us and is looking forward to hearing the update. So with that, I will turn it back to Zeke.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Thank you, everyone. It's really nice to, you know, as Kim said, just the, you know, too often when Baltimore is in the national news, it's not for the right reasons. And as we all know, the city is incredible and it's innovative and it's brilliant and it's got amazing people. And so, you know, to have a big, you know, one of the biggest foundations in the country and in the world recognize us for what we're doing here and across Baltimore and really try and do things differently, I think is something we should all feel immensely proud of and a direct result of all the work. And so just thank you to everyone. Like Kim said, the governor is going to do a little video as part of the finalists panel thing. So he's going to weigh in and, you know, big up the work as well. And, you know, excited to have his support. But, you know, more importantly, it's just about us continuing to build together. So very, very, very excited for that. Any questions, comments? All right. Okay. So what I was gonna do is we have two nominees to be the co-chair for the Trauma Informed Care Task Force. I'm actually, if it's okay with everybody, gonna delay by one more meeting, just because one of the two is not here with us at the moment. It is Fariha Waheed and Nika Namdi, who were both nominated. And I am 99% sure Nika is still at this event supporting Bree and Parity that Councilmember Ramos and I were just at. And so I don't want to, speak on her behalf or do anything like that. So if it's okay, if it's cool with everybody, and if folks could just give me like a little emoji on this one, I want to delay till next meeting, so that we can just make sure everybody has an opportunity to share their thoughts and their vision. I just feel like it wouldn't be right to do it without Nika. All right, seeing the thumbs up. Great. Makes sense to hold off. Wonderful. Yeah. Odette, you want to just share real quickly? I feel like I couldn't quite do it justice. The parody thing. I know you've been more intimately involved in it, but it's just a beautiful thing. You want to talk just briefly about it?
Sure, just briefly. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so Parody Homes, led by Bree Jones, worked to acquire over 70 properties in 4 blocks of Harlem Park in West Baltimore to redevelop. Now, that's the simple story. The complicated part was she recruited people from both within the community, within Baltimore, and basically all over the place to be cohorts, and worked with them on homeownership, on financing, on getting ready to own the property, and working on the home. So it's a group of people who are working together to rehabbing these properties and really recreating the community, but without displacement. And we met several community members today who have stuck it out, who've been, as Bree said, the glue that has kept the entire community together, despite the fact that there are multiple vacant and abandoned properties. They have stuck it out. And one special part of it was that, how when people are developing homes and they're developing a lot of them, they have standard floor plans. And sometimes they're named fancy names or whatever, but she has 2 standard floor plans in her properties that they're developing. And they named one of the floor plans after one of the residents who's been there for a long time, is Josephine, which was really special. And the other after a neighbor up the street who was the first African-American woman, the first Black cop in Baltimore City. And so it was really special. It was a great day. She's been working really hard on this and has been really a champion for really that block by block approach relative to vacant and abandoned properties. And I support her wholeheartedly. Nika's been a part of it. And then it also feeds into really what she had to go through is really proof of, why we need the land bank in Baltimore City. Delegate, I missed the red line announcement in order to support Bree, but that also was pretty monumental, as I understand it, as well. So lots of good things happening in Baltimore today. Delegate, did you go?
Yeah, Delegate, you got to jump in on the red line piece.
Oh, sure.
Big ups to Bree. It was incredible. It was really moving to get to see. But right down the road was the announcement on the red line. So
yes, like any elected official will tell you, is exciting when you can't make all the good things that are happening all at the same time. And so I think even Nika made a very quick grand appearance at the very end when it was over, and then skated back to Parody Homes. But the reigniting of the red line, working with federal partners, of course, state partners now, because we have an administrator that is ready to do this, the state, local officials, to reignite the red line. And so it's going to be a 2-year process of looking at what we can salvage from 2015, what we have to change, but most importantly, working in partnership with community. Every person who has ever advocated, whether they're an elected official or a community member, was there because they remember 2015, they remember the excitement, they remember the hurt, and now we're back on track. And so everybody is on board with this, and it feels so good when you have a team, when everybody's on board, everyone shares the vision to get this east-west corridor going, about bus service that they will be putting in place in the meantime, a rapid bus system that will be going on the east-west corridor. And so if you are not involved, get involved. And if you just want to sit back and watch the wonder, do that too, because it is happening. And we are so excited to be a part of it. Thanks, Councilman.
Yeah, it is so exciting. You know, for folks that may not know the history, you know, this was a decade plus of planning that had gone into what would have been a meaningful East-West Baltimore connection in a city that, as we all know, is deeply, deeply starved for high-quality public transportation. You know, when you look at comparable cities across the United States with a population similar to ours, like we are way behind, especially for the East Coast. And this would have really made an impact. And with a stroke of the pen, our former governor killed it as one of his first acts in office. He took what was, correct me if I'm wrong, 900 million, $1 billion from the federal government that had been committed to this and sent it right on back to Washington, D.C. Took the state money that was also close to $1 billion and just redirected it and widened roads in Western Maryland. And, you know, really, really, really left Baltimore off the map. And I'm not trying to be political or like negative because he was a Republican. I'm just, you know, this is the facts. Like, it was a huge loss for the city, and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund sued the former governor for a civil rights violation. But, you know, thankfully, we have a governor right now who understands the importance of public transportation to our city and to our region, right? It is also about connecting Baltimore to other parts of the state. You know, we are hermetically sealed as a city and often have a really hard time with our folks getting, like, people come in the city to work, but it's really difficult, I think, for Baltimore people to go work in the county or come in and out. And so this is a huge, huge deal. It's really a game changer. I think it is deeply unfortunate that the work has to, you know, be started over, but I think we are really blessed to have a federal delegation that is deeply invested, that has like rolled up their sleeves, made it happen, got the money back, included it in the Infrastructure Reinvestment Act. And I think we really now have leaders like Delegate Boyce and a whole lot of folks on the state level, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, and of course the governor, who get it and who understand that we can't just be a city with cruddy public transportation if we're actually going to grow Baltimore and if we're actually going to deliver the promise of, you know, work, wages, and wealth that Governor Moore always talks about. Folks have to be able to get to the job, and people need to be able to get their kid to school. We know that in Baltimore, it can take an hour and a half to get your child to school. It can take multiple buses, and that's shameful. So just a huge, huge deal. And very grateful to Delegate Boyce and others who have been champions for this project. And one thing, we mentioned this, but we were doing the shout out. Delegate, you got to tell folks your new-ish leadership position, because that's a big deal.
Councilman, thank you for putting me on the spot. But earlier this year, before session, the Speaker of the House appointed me as her Chief Deputy Majority Whip, and it was lovely. And I got to go whip votes and find out where people are. And then just 2-3 weeks ago, she called me into her office and appointed me as Vice Chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee, which I have served on for the last 5 years. I am and still somewhat in shock, but completely honored and excited to work with our new chairman as well, Mark Corman from Montgomery County. Yeah, it's I just have to move offices again the next next week or something. But I'm really honored that the speaker is someone who is not allowing herself to be the first and the only, and that she is watching everybody like a true leader and an executive does, and placing people where she sees fit based on how they move, their talent, how they work. And it's hard subject matter often. Sometimes I get it. Sometimes I struggle my own self reading and rereading and getting the additional information, but she saw it fit to make me vice chair, and I'm completely honored, and I'm looking forward to working the next 3 years.
Well, we are just incredibly proud of you, and thank you for your leadership. Thanks for stepping up and representing not only our city, but our entire state in that role. And I couldn't think of anyone better. Everybody in the House of Delegates loves Regina Boyce. So it was a good pick. Again, when we talk about whether it's the red line or the purple line in Montgomery County, I mean, these are game-changing public projects. And I just think the importance of public infrastructure and transportation cannot be understated, and has so been neglected in cities like Baltimore. And we got to rebuild it. And so having Delegate Boyce in that leadership role, I think, is absolutely huge for our city and for all of us. So we appreciate you. All right. With that, we got about 17 minutes left to do some committee work. I appreciate everybody. I think not our next meeting, I think, but the one after that, we're going to try to do in person, unless I'm talking out of pocket here, Ro. And again,
That's true.
okay, good. So like Well said too, definitely want to make sure there's food. Like we've had tortilla Sinaloa last time, I think, and we've had just real good food, but like we will definitely have food. We'll have dinner. But I love seeing y'all in these little boxes, but it'd be even nicer to see everybody in person. Ro, do we have a location for that yet or no?
We do not. We will announce
Okay.
their location at the next meeting.
Stay tuned. That's why you gotta stay on your task force. So 2 meetings from now, we will be back in person. And with that, I will ask Rashida to just send folks to their groups.
If you didn't automatically go to your room, if you need help getting to your room, let me know.
Help.
Delegate Boyce, where should I put you? And
Policy, madam.
policy is
not listed.
policy is staying here in the main room today.
Oh, okay. Good. Yay. Okay. I'll be quiet.
Is there anybody in medical, or is it just gonna be empty?
We'll see
I'm
who's
not-
here, Angela. I'm not sure who's here today.
All right, let me join. If there isn't anybody here,
You
I'll
can
join
pop back
you.
here.
So, Rob, I don't know what room should I have to be.
I'm not sure either, Cecilia. Do you want to?
I don't work with policies. I am the suicide prevention coordinator. So I'm
Okay.
not.
Let me put you in training today. That's one of the topics we were talking about last meeting.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
And I think that Elijah is with the youth group. Desiree, I believe, is with training. and Daniel Parsons is with the youth group.
Desiree's with policy. She gets to hang out with us if she wants to.
Oh yeah, my bad, Desiree. I'm sorry about that. I love that picture behind you, by the way. That's really nice.
All right, everybody. I'm gonna pop around.
Wait, okay.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, I think Elijah is with the youth group.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hey, policy subcommittee,
Just
welcome.
haven't, he hasn't joined. I did join him, but he didn't join yet.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Faria.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ro. Welcome back, policy subcommittee. Really excited to have us together for another meeting. We only have 14 minutes today, so the agenda is a little tight. But are there any updates that anybody wanted to share, either happening connected to the policy subcommittee or just anything else going on in general related to policy seek?
Yeah, so a positive and a less positive. The positive, as it relates to the navigators, is had a really good meeting with the Secretary of Opioid Response, Emily Keller, who is very excited about this program and doesn't have a final number, but is taking some money from the opioid restitution fund to support adding additional capacity to navigators in our library system. She is also bringing together folks from the Eastern Shore and Hagerstown, where she was previously the mayor. And we're going to do a town hall in Baltimore where she and the governor and lieutenant governor are going to announce it and make a commitment. Like I said, I don't have the number yet, but I also had a really good call with Governor Moore, and like he's really excited about this. And I think it really fits into their framework around opioid response. So that is, to me, exciting and energizing to have some support from the state. I'm gonna be real with y'all. We had a tough budget negotiation just this last week, and I shared this story with Freeha, and I think I told Odette, Councilmember Ramos too. But one of my asks for the administration was $500,000 for navigators, and they granted it, except that when I asked them where the funds would come from, they said the library system. So basically, they wanted to do a transfer of $500,000 from the Enoch Pratt into the Enoch Pratt to support navigators. And to me, that was a challenge because folks probably don't know this, but Enoch Pratt, for the first time ever, was unionized. They just voted to join AFSCME. And so they are going into salary negotiation, and the expectation is that they're going to see a salary increase, which I think is critically important because we lose a ton of talent to surrounding counties because we don't pay enough. So the idea that we would take money from the library to give to this program, I thought it's not a good idea. It would have created resentment toward the navigators. It wouldn't have been fair to Heidi. And I also, heard from the union directly that please don't do that because we need every penny we can get to get folks the salary increase that they need and deserve. So ended up not taking that deal. So, unfortunately, from the city budget perspective, it is not happening this year, but I think we are going to get some state support. And I also think that I was talking a little bit to Baltimore Core, and we have a program with them around bringing some AmeriCorps folks in. And I think that there's a potential partnership there to increase the Navigator pool. So, you know, that's where it's at. But Councilmember Ramos, feel free to jump in. But I would say like this was a tough budget for the slightly more progressive wing of the city council. You know, I'm hoping that in future years it's a little more small d democratic and there's you know, a little more collaboration, but that's where we're at.
All I can say is that this was a very frustrating budget season, budget process year. And I don't want to go into all kinds of details because it was frustrating. It's just frustrating all around. So hopefully we'll be able to get more support around the library, the peer navigators, and a couple other things that we were working on for next year. It was a tough budget all the way around in terms of, you know, some increased costs to education, some other surprises that we had, but learned a lot. I mean, this was the first year that we had a process where we could actually move money around, and I have a better strategy, I think, for next year. So we'll see how it goes, but I mean, it's not like it's over. I mean, like Zeke said, the councilman said, we're trying to, you know, figure out other ways to fund the peer navigator piece and some other priorities, which I think will be successful. So all is not lost. It's just paused, slowing down a bit. That's all.
Thank you so much, both to Odette and Zeke. I know that this budget cycle was really unique in that both of you had a little bit extra like power in the budget. And I just really, really appreciate your bravery and like just how courageous you both were in advocating for that budget and really critically thinking about like funding for like good people and like programs that are actually going to be effective to address the gaps that we currently have. I know it takes just a lot of bravery to step up in front of your colleagues and do that. So I really, really appreciate both of you going out and putting yourselves out there.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. Thank you for that, Faria. I will definitely say I think this was a learning experience for both Councilmember Ramos and I and several of our colleagues as well. I think, you know, my reflection on it is we got to start earlier. I think there was like a lot of confusion around process and how like amendments would be introduced and sort of the procedural stuff. And, you know, as you know, the delegate and the council member and I can all attest, like that stuff really matters and you gotta figure it out. And so this one was, you know, messy and bumpy and challenging. But, you know, again, I think there's still plenty of opportunity and, you know, it's always a opportunity for reflection and for, you know, how do we do this better each time we go at it. And this was a new process and, you know, I think we learned a lot. And I think the biggest takeaway for me for next year is like, we got to get ourselves organized a little earlier because I think otherwise it just is really tricky. So, you know, you live and you learn.
I also have a question. Last time I was talking to Delegate Boyce and she was talking about how at the state level, sometimes we can fund particular budget line items, but not allocate a dollar amount to it. I wonder, is that something that happens in the city budget too, or is that just like a practice we follow at the state level?
I tried that this time to get like budget language to, you know, get something done. And I was told by the law department that we can't do that.
Okay, thank you. You live and you learn.
So I think one of the things that, you know, I think that we need to do in the future is just, I mean, certainly look at this again, but I got a lot of stuff that I needed in terms of data asked in my budget request, like data requests. So it was close, but not quite in legislation. So we can't do budget language changes like the state can.
Hey, Nika.
Hey, sorry, everybody. I got caught up between the parody ribbon cutting and then the governor's red line announcement. But I understand that I got nominated to be the co-chair of the Trauma Informed Care Task Force. That is
You did. You sure did.
so wonderful, and I'm so over capacity and not suited for. I really would like to decline in favor of Fariha, because Fariha has absolutely, number one, earned that position and is deserving and is the best person, in my opinion, to suit it, is the best person suited for that position. So I don't know if I was supposed to say that right here and right now, but I didn't want us to get to July. I didn't want Fariha to have to wait into July 6th. And I didn't want the task force to have to wait, because the task force deserves a co-chair such as she.
Well, that is really gracious of you and incredibly kind. And Mazel Tov, congratulations to Fariha, who is now the only nominee. Hooray! You will, your name will be passed along. However, we did, Nika, delay the vote. There was no way we were gonna, put your name on a ballot and not have you be there. So we are gonna have to wait 2 more weeks to officially have Fariha's name be passed on to the mayor. But we nonetheless appreciate you being extremely gracious about it. And, again, thank you for your leadership. And we all kind of gave a summary of how incredible and moving and powerful the parody and the Bree piece was. But you've been a big part of it. So I don't know if in the last 2-3 minutes you want to just share your insights. Because, I think for Odette and I, it was really moving to just even get to be there and get to witness it and, see what she's doing and see it come to fruition, see the vision come to fruition. But I know you've been very much on the ground and in the work. So, you want to take a minute or two to just share a little bit your thoughts.
Sure. So today it was the ribbon cutting for the first 2 Parity Homes. Parity is an equitable development company working particularly in Harlem Park to do development without displacement. And that in and of itself is a major disruption to the way housing in particular is done in Baltimore. And so her idea of being able to build a cohort of home buyers that were ready to join in to existing communities, not necessarily create communities, because there's community already here in Harlem Park, has come into fruition. She did what folks said, frankly, could not be done. There are, I think, 75 people actively in a parity cohort. That means they're in the pipeline for a property. There's something like 600 people on the waiting list to join the cohort. Parity's going to do 5 more properties this year and then 20 properties next year. And probably the best part of the day was the announcement that 2 of the 4 Parity floor plans were named after, frankly, dope Black women. One is Miss Josephine, an elder who lives on the block where the first 2 Parity homes have been developed. And the other was, I think, Sergeant Violet White, who was the first Black police officer who lived in the 600 block of Carrollton, which is 1 block up from the initial Parity homes. And so we're just delighted that, everything, all of the work that we've been doing surrounding anti-displacement, because the work I'm doing through the SOS fund is tied to the work that Parity is doing. is great. And now, you know, with the governor's announcement that they're going to bring back the red line, where there's a greater sense of urgency, because where you start to see that type of transit-oriented development, or transit development, you also typically start to see displacement, and that's something we definitely don't want to happen. So we'll be, you know, putting more boots on the ground and deploying more dollars to make sure that lottie-dottie, and as they would say, everybody who is already in community, who wants to stay in community, can be here not only to vision whatever the red line or whatever they're going to call it becomes, but also gets to enjoy the benefits of what they have helped to stabilize over the last 60 years in West Baltimore. So that's my spiel.
It's awesome. Really proud of y'all, everybody who's been part of that. It's amazing. It was beautiful to see. I mean, and they were like, y'all should go see it, because they were gorgeous houses, like the little arches on the doors, the window. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful house that she built. And it is just so cool to see. And just the last thing, like Nika said, it was named after one of the elders on the block, and then Officer White, who was the first Black police officer. And one of the stories that I was told was that Officer White, while she was on BPD, was not allowed to have a gun. And so if you think that racism is not real, and that our city wasn't one of the birthplaces of it, I got news for you, because that was pretty wild for me to hear. But you know, that is the legacy that we are attempting to disrupt and heal from. And so again, it was great to see Bree live out her dream, and thank you to Nika and Odette and everybody who's been working to make it happen. So awesome. All right, cool. So I will see everybody. Thank you all for being here this evening. We will see you in 2 weeks. And really looking forward to our next meeting, as well as the Robert Wood Johnson finals on June 28th. Stay tuned for more information about that. Appreciate y'all. Talk soon.
All right, everybody. Enjoy your
Thank you.
weekend.
Bye,
Afram,
everybody.
Father's
Great
Day.
weekend,
Yeah,
Afram.